Alright everybody, we're going to go into the second video in this series where we talk about the 100 common magical items, and we'll be ranking them 1 to 100, or actually from 100 down to 1. And there's a few surprises along the way. At the moment, we've gone through sort of the flavor and social text. There may be a few more dotted throughout that had a few uses, but now we're going to get into the one-shot potions and things like that. And I basically, even though their usefulness may be a little bit better than some of the magical items that come after them, that's mainly because they only can be used one time. So let's have a look at it. So this mystery key is interesting, but it's unreliable. It only gets a 5% chance of unlocking anything, and then the key disappears. So you're basically carrying it with you for a long time in the hope that it will work, and then when it does, it's gone. I can understand why, though. It'd be quite a powerful item if they made it stick around. The coin of delving, I don't know. I think there would be other ways you could do this non-magically, which is probably just as easy. Gives a little bit of light. But I did put this in the one time only, even though it is a multi-use item, because I imagine that the time that you would want to use it will be the time when you've got that bottomless pit or well, and you probably won't get it back again. Alright, the pressure capsule, that could be very useful when you go at very deep depths under the sea. Otherwise, it's not really important at all. The Bead of Nourishment and the Bead of Refreshment, I actually thought these were quite interesting. Sort of reminded me of that movie The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy, where the child was being kept prisoner and trying to be forced to eat some bad food so that it would lose the holiness, and so the child was eating a leaf of a very special plant. This sort of reminded me of that. Potion of Comprehension. Yes, it gives you access to a first level spell, so because the spell is already set, it didn't rank as high as the scrolls and potions that we'll see later. The Medal of the Wetlands, these come from Netherdeep, and basically gives you a little bit of extra movement for 1 hour. If your DM makes you crawl through the bush and count movement over long distances, then this will help. I think a lot of DMs don't do that these days. The Medal of the Conch, well, it can help you swim, and so, hopefully that might actually help you out in an underwater or even an on-water adventure. I guess it's useful to have. Potion of Watchful Rest. I think this is more useful than before, so we're really starting to get into some of the magical items that can help you, you can actually do things rather than just being flavor. The only thing that is a problem with this is it's only really useful for creatures that need sleep, and basically you can get around it by setting watches. The Perfume of Bewitching. I thought this was an interesting one. I'm not sure whether human resources would approve to using magic for this sort of purpose. Maybe, in another world, this magical item might be more frowned upon. But just imagine you're working with humanoids and you want to use this ability on a challenge rating 1 or less creature. That would include all sorts of monsters and NPCs and even some strange machines, and even this guy. Whoa, he looks like a interesting kisser with that mouth. The Potion of Climbing, well, it's not a grappling hook, but it sort of has a very similar ability. Also, the Climber's Kit, so there are non-magical ways you can get around this. However, saying that, a Potion of Climbing can help you out of a pretty tricky dead-end situation in the right hand, so it might be useful to have one. These 3 items I put all together because it really will depend on which character you're playing as to which is more useful. One gives you strength, one gives you advantage with intelligence checks, one gives you advantage with wisdom checks. It's useful to know that the strength one is checks and saving throws, so is the intelligence, but the wisdom one is only checks and getting through a maze, so there's no saving throws there, which makes that one perhaps the weaker of those 3 items, which are all very similar. So the Medal of the Horizon increases your armor class by 5, and you can use it as a reaction. That is super useful, but it can only be used once. But saying that, having that little trick up your sleeve, when you think you're going to be hit by a big attack, could be just the thing that saves your character's life. Well, I wanted to give this one a higher rating because it's meat pies and, they're delicious. It is temporary hit points. It's debatable which is more useful, temporary hit points or regular hit points. What do you think? Let me know in the discussion below. But yeah, it gives you... I like the fact that it smells a little bit of pie crust. Anyway, hit points. Who doesn't like hit points? And saying that, going on to the Potion of Healing. Really, I think that the way the game is made, this potion has to be a common item because it's basically the most useful item of this level, and it is only at this rank because it's a one-use item. The feather token, though, even though healing is very useful, the feather token is something which you can keep on you, and that one time when you do fall, you can activate this and it'll save your life. So it's like walking around with a parachute on. The tattoo, yes, so basically 59 and 58 based on whether it's a cantrip or a first level spell. I went for, they're very much like scrolls, so I guess there's not a lot of difference, but I thought at least with scrolls they are more commonly used by a variety of spellcasters, whereas perhaps a tattoo is more focused on a particular sort of character. But then again, I guess also the fact that the tattoo has a limit of the 5th level might also be a thing. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think that scrolls are better than tattoos, or is there any kind of difference between them? I guess you can hide a scroll in a scroll case, whereas a tattoo is easily visible. It brings us to the scrolls, though, and of course their rank is slightly higher for the first level spells than the cantrip. These are just the common ones, of course. Higher level spells have a higher rarity. The Pot of Awakening, it is a one-use thing. You get one awakened shrub that's friendly towards you, which I thought was cool. So I put it up the top of these one-use items. And I thought that's actually a fun thing to have a little friend. So the next one is this mind crystal, and it helps you cast a spell with any somatic or verbal components, which can be very powerful to get away with that. That's one of the things that holds spellcasters back, is that they have to put on a big song and dance when they cast a spell. I rank this one slightly higher than the Pot of Awakening though, because even though you use this up, you still get a non-magical gem worth 50 GP, which is a little bit of extra money. There's also more powerful mind crystals at higher levels. The Veteran's Cane, well, really, this one has cool points. I actually liked it. I was a little bit disappointed that you only get to use it once. Basically, the stick turns into a sword. At the very least, though, you get to keep a sword and, adventure with it. It's not magical, though, so the sword isn't magical. Does that mean that the stick is magical? I guess you'll have to talk to your DM about that. Moving on, we're going to go into items that regenerate their charges or are always magical. Some of these items will have say 3 to 5 charges, and then every day they will get a number of charges back, usually a random amount that you have to roll. But I think it does make that item more useful than the one-shot ones, because it's something that you can incorporate into your character, and it's also more useful than the items we were talking about before with the just for flavor. So going on, the Smouldering Armor, this is not a good example of this because it is only for flavor. The only reason I put the armor this high is because it's at least got that armor. So you still got, it does help you with your armor class. However, you could argue that in some ways this is a curse because you basically got no control over it. And I wondered what would happen if you were trapped in a confined space with this smoke coming out of it all the time. Perhaps I should have put this one lower. What do you think? The Strixhaven Pennant. Yes, it's a bit Harry Potter for me, and the 10-foot radius of light with an extra 10 foot of dim light just doesn't do it. Get the light cantrip instead, or buy candles, I think is much better. But I guess it's got a little bit of flavor with, some sort of usefulness. The Orb of Gonging. Yes, it basically makes a sound, so you can use it to lure wandering monsters, or perhaps your castle could call everybody to dinner with it. Or maybe there's a temple there that uses this gong to call everybody to prayer. It doesn't have a lot of uses except perhaps as that monster trap. The Spyglass of Clairvoyance. All this rank 2 head office supply glass sounds boring to me, I guess. And then if something's obscuring your view, you can use the spyglass and you'll be able to map the terrain even though you can't see it. Sounds riveting. I'm not sure. I can see how it could be useful, but it doesn't really sound like the kind of games that I play. I also noticed that the spyglass normally costs, just a normal one, cost 1000 GP, so I guess you're going to have to adjust the price of the magical item that's only about 100 GP. This is going to be hard to pronounce. It's Sekulahin Worshipping Statute. It's a bit of a blast from the past from old D&D, but I think it's a good one for Shark Week, and how useful it is, I'm not so sure. But let me know in the comments, and if you've liked this video, please subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.